Hello, I'm Sister Charity, and welcome to today's Bible study. If you're new to my channel, this channel is all about sharing the gospel and transforming lives, utilizing the Word of God. And so this year, 2023, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to share with you some nuggets from my daily devotion to show you how the Word of God can be applicable to your everyday life. And today I'm going to use the story many of us are familiar with, and that is the first miracle Jesus performed. And it was basically turning water into wine. And so I want to just share this passage with you. I'm not going to be before you long, but I want you to hear about 5 different nuggets that I got out of this particular lesson. So let's get right into it. John 2:1 and 2 says, on the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, they have no more wine. Woman, why did you involve me? Jesus replied, my hour has not yet come. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servant, fill the jars with water. So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. And they did. Now, this particular story, there's so much in this story that just resonates with everyday life for me. And the first thing I noticed that I want to share with you in reading this story is they invited Jesus to the wedding. And that's symbolic of, well, first of all, let me just say, they would not have received or experienced the miracle that Jesus had performed had they not invited him to the wedding. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how things would have gone had Jesus not been involved, had Jesus not been invited into the situation, into the circumstance, into the problem? A lot of times we forfeit our peace and our joy because we don't invite Jesus into the situation. So that's the first thing that I got from this passage. Now, the second thing that I want to show you that I received was what to do when you lack what you need. What to do when you lack what you need. It says when they ran out of wine, okay? What did they do? They probably didn't do anything. They probably didn't know what to do. And there were times when you and I didn't know what to do when we lacked. Some of us got desperate and we did whatever we were grown enough to do. Some of us went into survival mode when we lacked because we didn't know any other way to deal with the lack. But what I see here in their lack, Jesus's mother went to him regarding the lack. And she showed us by her example what to do when you run out, what to do when you're hurting, what to do when you don't have any peace or any hope. She showed us because she went and she told Jesus, and Jesus told us to cast our cares on him because he cares. Now, of course, if he cared enough to handle this wedding situation, how much more does he care for you and me? And so then the third thing that I saw in this passage is the message that Jesus' mother gave. Do what Jesus tells you. This, wow. Had they not did what Jesus said, they wouldn't have experienced what what they had an opportunity to experience. And the same applies for us. If we don't do what Jesus says, in his word, there are promises. In his word, there are laws. In his word, there are provisions and blessings and healings and deliverance and correction and rebuke. In his word is life. And so when we do what he says do, because he's all knowing, all powerful, all present, he's almighty. When we do what he says, we can't go wrong. And so Jesus, knowing that, Jesus' mother, knowing that, told the servants to just do what he said. Okay. The next thing I saw is don't allow your thoughts to take over. Many of us, and I just put myself in that place. Here it is, they ran out of wine, they didn't run out of water. And so Jesus tells them to go get some water and fill up these water pots, 20 to 30 gallons. That's no small feat. But where's the wine? See, a lot of us, when we walk according to our flesh, according to our senses and what we can see, we start allowing those things that we see, that we feel, that we hear to take over what Jesus is saying. But I like the fact that even though Jesus said, pour the water in there, okay, that was easy. But now Jesus is telling them to go in and and draw some out and take it to the master of the feast. Huh. Yeah. You saw that it was water in there, okay? And I just would imagine they had to have some faith and some trust that what Jesus told them to do was going to all work out. And that's where we need to be. We need to have that type of trust, that type of belief that when Jesus tells us to draw, when Jesus tells us to do something, regardless of what it is, regardless of what it looks like, be obedient and just do what he says. Another thing that I saw is that they listened, they trusted, and they obeyed the word of God. And if you continue to read the whole story, you'll find that not only did Jesus turn water into wine, he made the best wine that they've ever tasted. And he got word from the master of the feast, the one that knows all about good quality wine and how things are supposed to go. And if you read the story, to tell you, he said that they saved the best for last. Let me just say this. If we listen, trust, and obey God, watch, he will turn what we thought was something impossible into what is possible. That's what I got out of this lesson. And I hope and pray that you got something out of it too. So as you go throughout this day and throughout this week, remember to listen, trust, and do what Jesus tells you to do. God bless. Bye-bye.